Greetings, I'm Alaya, and today in this mini moment for easy access, I'm going to teach you something called the good for me. It's abbreviated GFM, good for me. And if you want to text it to your friends, it's an awesome way to treat yourself to expansion and ease and self-celebration. And it's very simple. First of all, did you know that anything that we wish to marinate ourselves in, do it three times, 3 sentences, 3 sharings, and it looks like this, and then I'll break it down for you. Good for me, good for me, good for me. Now, at the end of that sentence is a particularized sentence that you apply. For example, good for me, good for me, good for me. Right now, I am making this recording, or simple access, or lots of people. So good for me, good for me, good for me, and that's the stem sentence. And then there's a blank where you fill in a particular that's true for you. So you take your right hand, you put it so it's one finger on either side of your collarbone, which is a place that if you touch, activates, I was told this by a brilliant massage therapist, activates all the meridians throughout your body. And because you're doing it 3 times, it's a deeply penetrating message that you're granting to yourself. So you might say, good for me, good for me, good for me. I did this with an apprentice the other day. Good for me, good for me, good for me. And I said, what will you say after? And she said, I spoke my truth directly to my boss. Here's another one. Good for me, good for me, good for me. I was very, very clear with my partner about a situation that I was unhappy about. Good for me, good for me, good for me. I called up a dear friend of mine that I had not talked to in a very long time and shared how precious they were. Good for me, good for me, good for me. I hugged my kids a little bit longer than I usually do, and they noticed and liked it. Now, my wish and gift to you is to use good for me, good for me, good for me throughout the day, because you don't need to go and sit and meditate someplace. You don't need to do anything except be noticing, remembering, softening towards yourself, and good for me, good for me, good for me. There are 3 pats right here. Good for me, good for me, good for me. And then you fill in that blank line in a particular way. There's a saying I have, the power is in the particular, especially when we are self-celebrating, when we are self-appreciating, when we are noticing something that we ourselves value and is something about us that we've done. You can add to this if you wish by going good for me, good for me, good for me. I'm creating this particular mini video for you. Good for us, good for us, good for us. That's all of the us's that watch this and use this. And good for the whole world. What we do ripples out throughout the planet, whether we knew it or not. So again, good for me, good for me, good for me, good for us, good for us, good for us, and good for the whole world. Use the good for me and change your life.